be seated. It's my honor to call forward our co-president, Sharon Kravitz.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. So, like Rabbi said, Joe is, not everybody knows Joe's the other co-president, and he is in the men's retreat. But we welcome everybody here in person. I see some new faces. Want to welcome you here, as well as hi everybody virtually. Want to thank the Religious Committee for super yummy dairy dinner. I know not everybody was here, but the Balences were like fabulous and one of my favorites, so thank you. So the beautiful flowers in the Onik tonight are sponsored by Debbie and Dom in honor of Bonnie's birthday. And they're not here today, but maybe they're online. Rabbi, thank you very much for putting everything together in services tonight. And Miranda and Roger, it's nice to see both of you with us. The usher tonight, Jeff, thank you for being our usher, as well as he is double duty tonight, right? He is back there with Leslie doing the tech work. So thank you guys. I know it's not an easy job. Running the chat.
To do a reading. That's why the binder's there. We're trying to not only do the reading that leads into the candle lighting that appears in the book on page 3. We love page 3, but it is important, like with the other parts of the Siddur and the prayer service, that we don't only do the same things every week. So there's a binder here with readings that I found. Sue Epstein, who's been here periodically, she brought in the one that was read a couple weeks ago by Rabbi Rafi Rank. So if in your travels or in an old Siddur you have at home, you find one, take out your smartphone, take a picture, send it to me, and I will put it in the binder. So thank you all for being here. Please turn to page 363. So it's in the middle of the page. Oh, because we are marking Shavuot today. That's why I chose it earlier in the week. So it is a Chag Sameach moment for us. The reading for Shavuot is at the top of page 363. So let's read together. It says the middle, but that's the kaddish to Rabbanan. If that's what's there, we can do it. But the one that's at the top, the English translation, is what we're going to do. Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you, For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more may Adonai do to me, if anything, but death parts me from you. If you're not familiar with the book of Ruth, how many people are? Has anyone ever read it? It's a great book. You should put it on your nightstand, find some time to read it, because it speaks to the power of connection which Ruth had to God and to her mother-in-law, who'd fallen on tough emotional times. I don't want to bury the lead, as they say, and tell you what happened, but she stuck by her mother-in-law. The other daughter-in-law, because both of the daughter-in-law's spouses, her sons, died. The other daughter-in-law's name was Orpah. The Hebrew word for neck is Oref. And so when I studied this in school, they said her name is Orpah because she turned her neck on her mother-in-law and walked away. Though one could understand, it's especially meritorious that Ruth left everything that she was familiar with and stood by her mother-in-law, not only for a family connection, but in order to be able to connect with our God. And that's what Shavuot is about, because it is seen as being not only an agricultural festival, but a time that we connect to God, because it's when we get the Torah. We are now going to the candle lighting. So the reading is on page 3, but we're not going to do it. But please rise. Leslie will come forward from the back where she's doing a few extra things today. I turned the binder to a certain page. Hopefully you like the choice that I made. And how about we sing happy birthday to Leslie and Sharon while we're waiting?
Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Leslie and Sharon. Happy birthday to you.
Leslie, you're up.
Hey, as we kindle these Shabbat lights, let us be moved by their light to bring light to those who dwell in darkness. Let us be moved by the warmth and glow of these lights so that we might be a source of compassion to those facing struggles. May these lights inspire us to acts of justice and peace.
The blessings are on page 2. We're going old school using a match.
I had cataract surgery last week and I can see the candle now. Is it in here?
Page 2. Lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Please be seated. Thank you, Leslie. We're going to continue with the Chadodi on pages 20 through 21. At the end, for those who are following at home, you'll see us turn and symbolically greet the Sabbath bride. We need more weddings at the end. We'll give you a signal. So it's pages 20-21. Thank you for the offer. And we look forward to hearing all the voices blend together. We all sound better when we're singing with other people. So take advantage of the fact that we're not alone singing at home. Unless you're at home now singing, well then sing to your heart's content. Page 20, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor, b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamilchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, Hashem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'beracha, Merosh mikadam nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, Kiva orei, kumi ori, 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 shir daberi, Kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela.
It is now time for Baruch, and we are so grateful that Gabrielle is here, and she is going to continue the service now. So thank you. It was a long week for Miranda, and thankfully Gabrielle lives nearby. It is now time for the Baruch. Should we sing Oseh Shalom again while Gabrielle's getting settled? Then it'll make her sound even better, because we'll be singing, and then she's going to sound even better than she usually does. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru,
Amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom.
So page 28 is where we continue. Baruch Hu, the rabbi, will now open the I think that we should do the prayer on page 30. Please be seated. So we just asked God to bless us. At home, you can't say the prayer we just did, so we're grateful, each and every one of us, that we are together. And now we focus on God as having been the creator. If we are to be the ones that do God's creating during the week, we have to remember, so as not to be pompous, that God is the original creator, and that's what we need to focus on. So it's good to be humble. Let's read together. We always do the Hebrew. Let's do the English, the middle of page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Amen. Are we good with Ahavat Olam? Debbie? All right, here we go. Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Akeinu Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yamam v'layla nege yamam v'layla ve'ahavatcha page 34 for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
I know that Sisterhood Shabbat is coming up, and I bet there's someone out here who's in Sisterhood who knows how to do the V'ahavta, but it doesn't have to be the person I just stared at, because she probably would prefer I don't say her name. So, is there anyone here who's going to be doing, participating in Sisterhood Shabbat that would like to do the V'ahavta? Do you two want to do it together? How about from your seats?
And I can help. I can bring a mic. Or you can bring a mic. Huh? Okay. I'll help.
I think this is when, like, Jay Leno used to go into the crowd and say, "Hey, what's your name? Where are you visiting from?" It's now time for the V'ahavta.
Take it. V'ahavta. Well, I can't see up there. Aren't you going to all do it with us? Okay.
You get us going.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha
b'chol levavecha ub'chol nafshecha
ub'chol me'odecha
v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shachbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshatam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'she'arecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please turn to page 40 for me, Kamocha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glad you're here.
No, we're good.
Go ahead.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
As she said. Page 42 is Hashkivenu, where we ask God for peace when we lie down, something we need in these tumultuous times. Hashkivenu, the top of page 42. Thank you.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you for bearing with us the Shabbos. Yep, whatever you got. Good with you. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim, ufros aleinu. Yeah, Sukkot shlomecha. V'toknenu be'etza tova milefanecha. One day, one day, one day, one day. Dear God, watch over us and deliver us, for you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haborei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Please rise for Vishamro, page 44.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. One more time. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. B'nei uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please remain standing for the tefillah, the standing prayer, page 46.
Adonai, Tzefatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
48.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevii Geula livnei vneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah, Rav le'hoshia, Morid hata. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech nofim berofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umito melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah la'achayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
Page 52.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. It's good to see so many people using their sidurim. It's easier to keep track that way. So let's go to 57 in the middle. You are with us. You, meaning God, are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod.
Amen.
And now 59 at the top, then Shalom Rav. You're welcome to read with me. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words for the awareness of our soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ocha na'eh lehodot.
Amen.
Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atah hu melech Adon lachol Shalom, ki atah hu melech Adon, lechol Shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael bashalom.
Amen. So as is our practice, there will now be contemplative music. Roger and I spoke in advance. We try to tie what he will play to the theme. Tonight's theme is Torah, which sounds like an excerpt from, what the bar mitzvah theme should be. So Torah is always in our minds, but even more so now. We take a few minutes. I think we all need to take a deep breath if we haven't done so in a while. I'd like to call Gabrielle forward and thank you. I think she deserves a virtual round of applause. Thank you for jumping in your car.
It's my honor and a
Glad you're here
pleasure.
with us. Page 253, the healing prayer.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
Tonight we begin by praying for our regular attendee, Peggy Roman, who is not feeling herself right now, and Shari Rosen, Taylor Pearson, that's Brandy String Pearson's husband, Elijah Kurtz, Harry Jacobs, Steve Wiesel, Sheila Filzen, Gilbert Delgado, Joe Schwartz, Marion McCarthy, Ann Aimlug, Robert Mejia, Hassan Rashmawala, Joe Goran, Joe Manriguez, Jenna Vainstock, Edward Zimmerman, Charlie Austin, Steve Lee, Karen Hulse, Jeff Shear, Flo Ebling, John Morrow, Kathleen Schmidt, Isaiah Mauricio, Ann Jenkins, Jim Greenspan, good to have you back, Jimmy, Ted LaVoot, Sue Rubin, always good to see Sue, Estelle Windhorst, Sue Craven, Lori Wiesel, Robert Hagler, Peggy Horowitz, Gloria Schmidt, Sandy Levy from Australia, Susan Taylor, Henrietta Goitzman de Moya. Representing all of the hostages, Ingres Matan and Alon Ohel, and the recovering hostages, Daron Steinbrecher, Orlevi, Eli Sharabi, and Ohad Ben Ami. I will now, as become our practice, read the names that folks have asked me to read silently to myself, and it's during that time I'll ask you to share the names out loud so your seatmates can hear who you're praying for.
Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
What we're going to do now is, as is our custom on the first Friday of the month, is to mention the simchas, the happy moments that we are celebrating this month. So for the June anniversaries, we have Morris and Maxine Rockworth, Kimberly Gimbel Johnson and Derek Johnson, Lydia and Christopher Garcia, Eddie and Celia Goldstein, Jeff and Sandy Strauss, congratulations. Hallie and Greg Lieb, Fred and Ruth Malkin, Ellis and Gail Porter, Lori and Tim Rosenfeld, and Dina and Chris Jastrock. It'll be year 51, Dina told me tonight. And the June birthdays are Kim and Derek's son Landon Johnson, Lila Marnick, Leslie Berger, Sharon Kravitz, Gilbert Delgado, Toby Porter, Christopher Garcia, Maxine Gimbel, Lauren Greenbaum, Melissa Rudolph, Terry Levoot, Iris Hessler, Joy Gordon, Dominic Valencia on the 23rd, Tim Green, Hallie Lieb, Samantha Kotkin, Sammy Kotkin, Rebecca Marinick, Becky Marinick, and Jaden Johnson. Is there anyone here who is celebrating a life moment this month that's either a birthday or an anniversary that did not make it? Oh. When's your birthday, Jim? June 24th. Happy birthday in advance. How old are you going to be? 91. Bless your heart. So those are the good things. Let's take a few minutes to think about what's been happening to the Jewish people. So people here who speak Yiddish can correct my pronunciation later, but I grew up with learning the expression, I'll see the English, it's hard to be a Jew. So what is that in Yiddish? Schwer zu sein a Yid. My Zayd is rolling over in his grave. It is hard to be a Jew. In Deuteronomy 30, verse 19, it says, Ha'idoti bachem hayom et hashamayim v'et haaretz, hachayim v'hamavet natati lefanecha, habracha v'haklala, uvacharta v'chayim lema'an tichye ata v'zarecha. God says, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day. I have put before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life, if you and your offspring would live. Our lives have been informed by that, individually and collectively. We persevered, even when so many things were going against us. And we know that things must change. The current reality is unacceptable. Deuteronomy 30, verse 19, which I just read, has been a guiding beacon for American Jews and Jews of all kinds. Our ancestors came to these shores grateful for the opportunity to live in the Goldene Medina, which literally means the Golden State, but it was seen as the land whose roads were paved with gold, where they could pray as they liked, without worrying about a pogrom, and they could raise their families without overt hatred being directed towards them, and thus give their children a brighter future than they would have had if they'd stayed in Europe or in the Arab countries, where now they could have futures full of hope and promise. It wasn't always peachy to be a Jew in this country, but it was better than where our people came from. And during our adult lifetimes, it had been pretty good. The Jewish community, individually and collectively, gave so much to America once our people arrived. They've been a positive force. We've done our best to be good neighbors, to contribute to building a country worthy of God's highest ideals, to show our allegiance to the United States of America by serving in the military and in government, and to enhance the culture of our country through the contribution of Jewish Americans in the fields of music, movies, literature, science, and medicine. Jewish writers, among others, have shaped the landscape of Jewish American literature, offering diverse perspectives on the Jewish experience, and at the same time contributing to the broader American literary canon. Jewish Americans have made significant contributions to science and innovation in the United States of America, often, very often, exceeding their population percentage. A notable example is, and you know what I'm about to say, the large number of Nobel Prize winners, with a disproportionately high number of recipients in physics, physiology, medicine, and chemistry. Furthermore, Jewish immigrants, particularly those fleeing persecution in Europe, played a crucial role in the development of American science and technology. But now, something has changed. and not for the good. The intense and violent hatred being directed towards our community in the United States, and sadly also where I grew up in Canada, has a very Middle Ages vibe to it. And that's not a good thing. During those centuries, the allegiance of the Jewish communities to their host countries was perpetually questioned to such a degree that the phrase "the wandering Jews" needed to be invented, as we were very regularly banished from various countries that had become home for our ancestors. We were kicked out of England in 1290, from Spain in 1492, and the list goes on. That we no longer feel safe simply being Jews in public spaces here in the United States. Again, my grandfather would be turning over in his grave if he knew. It's shocking, it's upsetting, and it's completely abhorrent. And yet, sadly, what we've witnessed the past 2 months is nothing new. It's a sobering time that leaves us wondering about our place in America and in American society, about how we can live publicly while holding fear in our hearts and without endangering ourselves. There's much to be very concerned about. I don't know the future, but this I know. It's not just the killings in DC of 2 young members of the staff of the Israel Embassy who the murderer did not know worked for the Israel Embassy, because it's about, I think, between 1 and 4 miles away. They just knew they were Jews. Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lashinsky of blessed memory were murdered at a gathering of people seeking to help the Palestinians have a better life. It is not just the firebombing of a peaceful gathering in Boulder, Colorado on June 4th that is a problem. It's a problem that these people met regularly to seek to have attention regularly focused on the plight of now 56 hostages. We'll mention the names of the 2 whose bodies were returned this week. It's that it's become so routine. Earlier in the COVID lockdown and after the war in Gaza started, not far from where I raised my kids, in Agoura, one town over in Westlake, you'll remember that a Jewish man was demonstrating in favor of Israel's right to exist, and probably focusing on the fact that Jewish women were brutally raped. Many, many people were murdered and taken hostage, and he was hit with a megaphone, and he died right there. You may know that among the 8 or so people that were hurt by the firebombs thrown at these peaceful assembling Jewish people was a Holocaust survivor in her late 80s. In her first words spoken publicly since Sunday's gruesome attacks, Barbara Steinmetz, an 88-year-old, I was right with the age, told NBC News that what happened has nothing to do with the Holocaust. It has to do with a human being who wants to burn other people. And then she said, and she did not say heck, it's about what the heck is going on with our country. What the heck is going on? The reporter asked if there was anything else she wanted Americans to know after the attack. She said, I want people to be nice, like a grandma would say. I want people to be nice and decent to each other, and to be kind and respectful. It seems like a low bar. We should be able to reach that, but we can't. I wish I could say the last 2 months were abhorrent and out of the ordinary. But just in my lifetime, just in the years since I moved back to Los Angeles in '98, there have been many things. 26 years ago, my oldest daughter, who's now 31, was taking swimming lessons at the North Valley JCC in Granada Hills. I was working at the University of Judaism in the rabbinical school that fateful day, August 10, 1999, when a white supremacist, whose name I haven't said since then, though it's here on my notes, he walked into the lobby of the North Valley JCC and opened fire with an Uzi submachine gun, firing 70 bullets in the lobby where we had walked every day we walked in. We had been there the day before. The people that were there that day for summer camp were attacked. And the details of who was hurt and who wasn't is unimportant. But Rabbi Brad Artson came into my office because I was the assistant dean of the rabbinical school at the time, and he said, words no parent wants to hear. Where are your children? I said, why? He said, well, there's been a shooting at the JCC where I know your kids are taking swimming lessons. I said, I think I need to go. He said, no, it's not a good time to be outside the North Valley JCC. The gunman wounded 5 people, 3 children, a teenage counselor, and an office worker. Shortly after, he murdered a mail carrier who he thought was Hispanic. I guess he had something against Hispanics. It turned out the gentleman was a Filipino mail carrier. He left his van, he hijacked a car, left it at a motel not far from where we were living, and we were in Northridge. He left it in Chatsworth, and he surrendered a couple days later where he had been hiding out in Nevada, and he went into a police station or an FBI office and said, I'm the one who shot those kids. Fast forward 18 years. Charlottesville, Virginia, August 11th and 12th. The Unite the Right rally. Marchers included members of the alt-right, neo-Confederate, neo-fascist white nationalists, and on and on. Some groups chanted racist and anti-Semitic slogans and carried weapons, Nazi and neo-Nazi symbols, the Confederate battle flags, and other symbols of various past and present anti-Semitic and anti-Islamic groups. The organizers' stated goals included the unification of the American white nationalist movement. I was there a month later. I went to the spot where Heather Heyer had been murdered by one of these people ramming the cars where she and others were standing counter-demonstrating. When I was walking around, because that year I was still a chaplain, I led high holiday services at a synagogue in where Virginia Tech is, Blacksburg, and I drove up to pay my respects. I brought money that I'd collected and gave a check to the assistant rabbi, and then I wandered around. It kind of felt like I was back in Granada Hills. I grew up in a nice little suburb. That's not what I'd experienced. So those are my 2 points of reference. Fast forward, 6 years later. 2 men were shot in separate incidents in Pico Robertson, coming out of synagogue on a weekday. Same man. I was happy to read because it had caused me a huge amount of anxiety at the time, so I didn't follow what happened a year later. He was thankfully sentenced to 35 years in jail. He terrorized the neighborhood. And then while Googling something else, I found that in 2024, the LA police had investigated incidents of vandalism against 6 businesses in that same Pico Robertson neighborhood that had been spray painted and had with a golf club, they think, had the windows of their stores smashed. Last year was no picnic to be a Jewish student at UCLA or USC or at Columbia, that I used to be proud to have graduated from, and Harvard. Jewish students were regularly verbally attacked and shoved, and their movements were restricted. If you're a podcast listening sort of person, this week I listened to Mayim Bialik interview Rabbi David Wolpe, and because you may know, if you followed it, that he was a fellow after having retired from Sinai Temple. He was a fellow in the Harvard Divinity School, and what he shared was just chilling. There is a creeping sense of insecurity for all Jewish people in this country. You may have read or done so yourself. You may have read about or done the same thing, that people are removing their mezuzot and not wearing Stars of David in public. I wear a kippah, not because I'm so Orthodox. I'm not Orthodox at all. My childhood Orthodox rabbi, if he was alive, would be shuddering at how I live as a Jew today. But I like wearing a kippah. It helps me stay focused on the goals that I strive for as a Jewish person. But I dug out my old Columbia hat. I'm not sure why, because it's lighter and we've had harder. And that's what I wore when I drove around. I walked the dog the other day, and I'd had an unveiling for Harley Rockoff, so I was wearing a white shirt and a kippah, walking the dog in Studio City. I was petrified. So what can we do? We can ask local law enforcement and elected officials to make sure something actually happens. That's different than before the incidents make it to the news. Rabbi Noah Farkas, he's a rabbi, but he's the executive director, you may know, of the Jewish Federation in LA. So what he wrote in his article that I saw in the LA Times was reflective of the fact that at ULA, Yeshiva University LA, at their campus after the 2 shootings in 23 in Pico Robertson, a big gathering, lots of blizzing. And what happened, he wrote? Nothing. All these elected officials, all these policemen and women, nothing changed. It's kind of what David, I call him David not only because I'm a rabbi, but we were in school together for a year in Israel. David Wolpe said, they asked the president, who you know, Claudine Gay, who then had to resign because of the repugnant things she did not say. No, the fact that what she didn't say, meaning that if a Jew is being threatened, that that's an issue, so she had to resign. But she called him when, if someone has something making noise, she came back from Washington where she had been excoriated by a congresswoman. And she called him and said, because he already was on the anti-Semitism task force, she said, what do you think we should do? He said, how about the hotline that those of us on the anti-Semitism task force said we should do? She goes, nah, I don't think we can do that. And he went through the list. She wouldn't do anything. But we can't sit back. So many things have happened to Jews, he went on to say, that would not have been tolerated if they happened to fill in the blank. Women, gays, Asians, African Americans, Hispanics. There would have been a national outcry. All is not lost. I meant what I said at the beginning. We would not be here today if our people had rolled over and played dead just because things had been terrible. Some of the people that survived the Nova attack, including the young woman who sang representing Israel at the, what was it called again? The Eurovision contest, thank you. That's how she survived. She lay under her friends who'd been shot and murdered in a place that Judy and I were in, a bus shelter. But Jews do not cower. Jews do not say, oh, this is too tough. We may cover our hats, cover up our Magen David, but we don't give up. And we can't start now. Sunday night, I went to a gathering. It was at Temple Beth Am. I didn't stay up as late as I usually do on Shavuot, but I made it through one main session and about a half of the next. The first featured the writer Sarah Horwitz, who used to be a speechwriter for President Obama and his wife subsequently. But she wrote a book because as an adult, she was Jewish, but knew, as some of our convert friends did, that they needed to study. And she thought the same thing. So she wrote a book about her experience learning more. So the interviewer, my friend Tom Fieldsmeyer, who's a writer, said to her, so what do you think we can do? So number one, she said, anti-Semitism is here. It's not going to go away so fast. And some of the little things people have suggested, I don't know if she said it or David Wolpe, it's like spraying perfume on an overflowing sewer. So that got us down. But then she said, I've learned so much captivating, enlightening, inspiring aspects of what it means to be a Jew. She said, I went to a decent Hebrew school growing up. But when I started studying after leaving the White House, I found out, whoa, we don't just have a Siddur and a Torah. There's so much more. Then she said, without quoting Rabbi Mordechai Kaplan, Judaism is a civilization. He wrote a book called that. So be wider in your view of what it means to be engaged with Jewish life. You may have a valid reason for not seeing God as depicted in the Torah. Fine. You can still act in line with the ethics and values that are outlined in the Torah. And you could live a full Jewish life. As my youngest said to me when I was pushing her while she was in college at Cal Poly SLO, you should go to services. She said, Abba, I may have said this here, you're Jewish your way, I'm Jewish my way. which means we're not in the shtetl. There's way more than one way to be Jewish. That's why American Jewish University, I'm wrapping up, which was informed by the ideas of Rabbi Kaplan, has, well, now it's been sold. They used to have an art gallery, a place to take dance lessons, a place to take sculpture lessons, a lecture hall. Judaism is so much wider. And what she said was, for too long, Jews have seen their own religion through the same prism as Christians see their religion. What did she mean? What do you think she meant? Through the understanding of God. Also in the way that synagogues were designed architecturally. They made them look like churches. Judaism is so much more than belief. It is also belief. But Maimonides wrote down the 13 attributes of God in the Middle Ages because he said, yeah, people have been asking me, I think I should write down a few things. But I have to say, you don't have to believe everything about God that's in the Torah. That's why Rabbi Kushner wrote his book, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People, because he couldn't believe everything was in there. So what she said, and I endorse, is dive in with 2 feet. Or if you're a good diver, you can go this way. I would jump in this way. And explore the depth of Judaism that exists out there. Let's close by quoting Barbara Steinmetz, the Holocaust survivor. She said, I want people to be nice and decent to each other. So let's start in all the parts of our lives that we walk in. Choosing life in the face of hate is a difficult choice, but it's a wise choice. One made easier because we have each other. We can hold 2 truths at the same time. We can be worried and we can be prepared. We can be worried and we can be hopeful. Concern about living as a public Jew or a Jew in public is possible while still making contributions to making your life, our lives, and all of America's lives even better. Please join me in that effort. Shabbat Shalom. Please rise for Aleinu. Page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא זמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המולן, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing. I'm sorry to have to announce, in case you did not know, that our longtime member Karen Katz died last night. So funeral information is not available, but we'll get it to you as soon as we can. If you are in contact with her adult daughters, I encourage you to offer words of support. We also remember, outside of the regular list, Judith Weinstein Haggai and Gadi, it was Haggai, a couple that was killed on 10/7, whose bodies were taken to Gaza and rescued just the other day by the IDF. They were peace-loving American Israelis, and we remember them for what they did to make Israel a better place and to make connections with Palestinians, something that was a hope for a better future. and we express our support to their families. We also remember Sarah Milgram and Yaron, whose last name I don't have right here. Terry Lynn, a cousin of Leslie Berger. That's in addition to the people who died recently, Leslie's cousin did as well. We are observing Kaddish for the following people: Ralph Peter Folsom, Adrian Scott Held, David Scharf, Laura Block, Socorro Morales, Sheldon Culkin, James Huntingwig, Tommy Mueller, Sylvia Liederman, Ronnie Silber, Max Meyerson, Eileen Cohn, Barry Levy, Evelyn Zucker, Joel Herberg, Juan Carlos Pignon, Jeffrey Ammons, Adrian Levy, Richard Kaufman, and Marlene Hemleben. The yahrzeit is being observed for the following people, that is, they died at this season in years gone by: Rose Solomon, Joseph Rosen, Irvin Drobny, Al Tobin, Benjamin Levinson, Dick Goodman, Saul Young, Minnie Orlovich, and Ruth Becker. Anything okay? Yeah. Okay. Joseph Rothstein, Rosalind Williger, Teresa Francis Desin, Dottie Abel, Harry Klein, Madeline Moss, Joan Davis Matthews, and Jean Crane. If there are other names that people would like to add, I'm happy to take those names now.
My grandmother, Annette Gottheimer.
You want to mention your friend's name from last week? Mike Nelson. Mike Nelson, Roger's friend, a musician who died recently. Deep breath again. We continue with the mourner's Kaddish.
Yitgadol v'yitkadash Mirabah Be'alma divrach chirute V'yamlich malchute B'chayechon u'vyomechon U'v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'elam minko birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav Huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
It is now time for Kiddush. Thank you, Cantor Gabrielle. Thank you, Roger. The celebrants, the Simcha people, if you're here, you're welcome to come forward, hold my Kiddush cup, and sing along with Cantor Gabrielle. Page 5. Anyone? The Strausses are here. Should I bring the cup down to you? That would work. Shy people get rights too. I'm happy to bring it there. All right, page 5, the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron ma'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim V'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'veratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat l'chaim.
You're old enough to drink? Everyone's in. Yeah, I'll make it fly. to it.
Sanctuary.
Just a lot of words we gave today and the text you just put that words to.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a skeleton. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's beautiful. But it's next time. We'll remind the text. Everybody, we're going to end with a beautiful song. It's the Sanctuary song. There are some Hebrew words that we will not be able to have displayed. We will the next time we do it. So if you don't know the words, please hum along. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. We all need to live in the world as if we are able to live with the sense that God is within us.
Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham va'anachnu nevarech Yah me'ata ve'ad olam. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you again.
You'll make y'all start taking us early pictures.
Reporting for duty. I'm glad I could help, and I'm glad Miranda could take care of her health. Health above all.
Otherwise, Roger and I would have.